What does it cost you when you do not listen to your intuition and you never live your life with your intuition by your side, guiding your actions, guiding your decisions? Sometimes it can cost you everything. It can cost you happiness, energy, joy, integrity. It can cost you the success that you truly desire. It can cost you the qualities and feelings and outcomes that you truly yearn for, that you're reaching for. If you aren't using intuition as you go on this path, you're not going to get there. And I know there might be a few people thinking, well, but I can pinpoint a few people who have success and I don't think they use their intuition. However, I want to push back to say, if you pulled those people aside, if you actually know them, or if you were able to know them and ask them, are they deeply happy and satisfied both with the life that they have and feel that it's in integrity with who they are? If their answer is yes, then they have been using their intuition to achieve this aim, to achieve this outcome. If their answer is no, then somewhere along the way, they left their intuition. They didn't acknowledge it. They disregarded it. They cast it aside. Because your intuition will be your guide throughout your entire life, throughout your entire existence. And it's there to be a gut check. If you do a gut check about, oh, dating this person, signing up for this program, eating this meal, going out to this event this evening, when you do a gut check, and if your gut is saying, nope, don't date that person, don't do this business program, don't go to that event, don't go do the thing, don't eat that, but you say, and you just go for it anyway. I know for me, I get a stomach ache if my intuition told me not to eat something. I show up at the place that I was going to go to and it's closed that day. And I thought my intuition told me not to go. And I was like, no, intuition, I want to do this. I want to go. And then I go and it's closed. Or I go to the event and I feel just not great. And then I flash to the times when there's the gut check. And maybe it's more than just in my gut. Maybe it's in all of me. A lot of people like to say, is it a full bodied? Yes. They're trying to give you a way to understand how your body can speak to you, how your intuition can speak to you through your body to give you information for your life that is purely of benefit for you. The body doesn't know how to lie. Your intuition doesn't know how to lie. But we can rationalize, and people can lie. We can lie. You can lie. Your body won't, though. Your intuition is not going to lie. It'll give you that true guidance, that true insight. Now, when you follow this intuition, this intuitive guidance, this integrity, when you go to the event, when you go talk to that person, to me, it feels like magic. It feels like being in the flow of life. It feels like those days where you're like, everything's working out for me. And you're so excited because the flow is happening and you're loving this experience. I can think of when this happened in tiny ways in my life and in grandiose, huge ways. Picking out this home that we live in. The minute I walked in the door, I started feeling feelings that were yes, yes, yes. Then when I walked into the backyard, I continued to feel it. I saw little mushrooms growing in the yard and plants that I know that I consider friends. I thought, this is the place. That's one of those big moments. But I have small moments too that I think about when I was in grad school doing orientation and I felt the introvert in me was feeling very insecure. I just moved to another country. I was going to a university that was massive. UBC has 40,000 people. There's not that many in the grad school. Maybe it's 10,000 in the grad school. On this one day, going to this graduate orientation luncheon type thing, were there 200 of us? Maybe 300. I was feeling nervous. I didn't know anyone, and I really wanted to make some friends because I always feel better when I have friends in my life to do things with. So I was in line, and the people in this one line that I was standing in to get the food, I just wasn't feeling it. And I thought, you know what? My intuition spoke to me. It was like, just go in another line. I wandered around for a moment trying to pick out which line do I want to go in. There was a line for food and probably a drink line, maybe a dessert line, maybe a line for free notebooks. There were multiple lines and people milling about, and some people in small groups here and there. So the line I was in, my gut told me, this isn't working. And I just felt inside of me, why am I going to stay and try and make this work? Let me just go in a different line. Let me just follow my fancy and go in this other line. I go in this other line, casually start talking to the people around me. We hit it off. And it's funny because there's nothing logically, nothing rationally that I could quantify. The first people I was trying to talk to in this one group, we didn't hit it off because of these things. But the next group of people, we did hit it off because of these things. There's no data that I have that I can explain to you why one situation worked and the other one didn't. But the second one immediately felt easy, comfortable, happy. They were some of the people who helped me feel comfortable there. And their friend circle, which most of them met at this event, they, I think, are still friends years later. They got very close. It gave me a great confirmation that day. I still think of that moment in my life years later. This was 15 years ago. And I'm sharing this small instance because what it reminds me of is when I'm somewhere and something isn't working out, I don't let myself marinate in the feeling of this isn't working out. I move on. I think, let me just follow the flow, let go, and just mosey on over somewhere else and see, is there another place where I can be where immediately I feel better? I like the people, or I like the event, or whatever it is, and it's flowing. Because here's the thing, now I'm going to use a plant analogy. So when a plant is putting down roots into the soil, if there are a lot of rocks, it has to do a little bit more work to maneuver the roots around the rocks to find more soil. The plants that are finding soil that has very little rocks, they can just keep on having those roots flow. Whereas there are other plants, if there's a lot of rocks, they have to maneuver, they have to go with the flow, they have to go around the rock or go through the rock. You know, there are plants, and I'm sure we've all seen this, growing in the cracks of sidewalks, trees clinging to rocks and pushing their roots into the little cracks in the rocks and helping to break those rocks apart. That's a harder path. Quite frankly, I don't really want to do a harder path if I don't have to. If there's an easier path, if there's a less rocky road, if there's a less rocky place where I can mosey my roots around, it's okay for me to cut a loss of this one place where I was starting to put my roots down and scooch on over here and see, does this flow more easily? Because then it just allows me to bring more of my energy to the situation. That's not a forcing, fighting, pushing energy, but it's just this unfolding, being, flowing energy that I can bring to the situation. This is one of the things that using your intuition, flowing with your intuition and following these gut check moments can do. Again, I'll say in the small moments and in the big moments, it's so impactful. However, like a lot of other habits that we have in life, if you don't practice this in the small moments, in the larger moments, it's going to be harder to do because you haven't been doing it. Let's use an example of athletes. They are practicing those skills, building the muscle memory, building all the skill sets for their sport repeatedly in practices, in games, before they get to the big event where they want to have that performance. All of those small events matter too, but they have this one desired aim that they want to perform really well. Your intuition, when you're using it in all of these smaller moments, you're going to have an easier way to rely on it. It's going to be easier to tap into it when you're in those bigger, high pressure moments and scenarios like the athletes and their big performance games or Olympic events or whatnot. Those events have a lot of pressure, a lot of emotion, a lot of other people and attention around them. But those athletes have honed the skills so that they can just tap back into that. They might also have a routine that gets them in the groove so that they are in that state where they access their skill sets and tap into that muscle memory more. Same for you and I. When we have a regular practice of tuning into intuition and utilizing it, letting it flow through your life, when you're in the decision-making, bigger, higher pressure moments, you might need more time for your intuition to speak to you. Sometimes I still need more time if it's a big decision. But I have enough life experience of in the small decisions, checking in with my intuition about a meal, checking in with my intuition about a person, checking in with my intuition about going to an event or watching a movie or reading a book. In all of those little moments, yes, they're minor to some degree, but it has allowed me to continually have this process of honoring my guidance within, honoring the integrity within me, honoring that voice that is true. And that's what I want for you. Because even though I'm giving you my perspective, the ultimate goal is that your own guidance, your own wisdom, your own intuition is what is the thing that you're returning to, that you are utilizing, that you're drawing from, so that in the various moments, you're not swayed by something that isn't coming from your truest and best intention, whether that's a person or events or circumstances that might change in a week. But at that moment, the circumstances are this way, and you feel like you have to decide because of the circumstances. But your intuition, not only is it a part of you, but what I think of it as is that it's also tapped into the whole entire universe. This is our center, our sprout that is connected to the universe, the globe, the world, the unified field is one way that people speak of it, the cosmic consciousness. Your intuition can give you the best information that's not tied to situational circumstances, things that are going to change, other people's opinions. It's more attuned to what your greatest and best desire and outcome will be. I see it as your North Star, your true node that will always direct you in the best way. Does that mean it always makes sense? No. My intuition many times has not made sense for me. And there are still, I like to think of them as open loops of things that my intuition has showed to me. I still don't know why. But if the intuition is tapped into this cosmic consciousness, the whole universe, as I believe, then there might not be a way that I will ever know why, while I'm in this human body with limited consciousness to some degree, limited ability to receive information. I can't know all the things. Therefore, I might not know all the reasons for why my intuition says something. Same for you. You might not know all the reasons. But if your intuition is warning you about a person or a thing, and it doesn't always necessarily feel like a warning, but sometimes it's just a feeling of a no or a feeling of a yes. Listening to that feeling of a no and feeling of yes with the smaller instances builds that muscle so that you have it over the course of your life. So when you're faced with moments making what seems like a big no and a big yes, you can rest assured and have that trust and that groundedness and that centeredness. You are like the deeply rooted tree that has been putting out all the roots all over, feeling into what felt good, what felt not so good, going where there was the security, where there was the stability, where it did feel like that true through line leading you forward. By continuously returning to your intuition and tuning into that wisdom, you create for yourself this guidance that I believe is unparalleled. It is a way in which, if you want to be, let's just say, a maverick, a visionary, a forerunner, one of those people that other people think, goodness, wow, that person is making waves, breaking molds, all the things. One of the ways to do that is by listening to your intuition, by following that leading edge guidance that is taking you beyond what you know into what you don't know and leading you down this delicious, delightful path that is truly unique and specific to you, and will also create a benefit is this ripple effect of others around you are inspired, feel excited. It feels good to be around somebody who's living in integrity, who's living true to their intuition, who feels good about the decisions they're making, their motivations for those decisions, the things that they're doing, the actions that they're taking. It feels really incredible to be around that person. That also continuously fuels this good. I'm doing this with my fingers because to me, I can feel it all around, like that good, juicy, delicious, beautiful energy that surrounds a person who is really in tune with themselves, really tapped into their intuition. That person has a lot more energy. They have a lot more joy. They're not afraid to say no to the things that don't work, to the things that feel like, oh, I'm just forcing these roots down this little rocky section of the soil when there's this whole section over here where there are very few rocks or no rocks at all. And it can just flow into it. This is why you have more energy and can have more happiness when you're following your intuition, because you're not living a life doing the shoulds, doing the things that, well, I started this thing, so I have to finish it because that's what everybody expects. Well, actually, you don't have to finish it. Now, of course, I'm speaking broadly here. You may have a thing that you feel a responsibility to finish, even though part of you doesn't want to finish it. As always, your job is tuning into your own intuition, using those little moments to build up this intuitive muscle so that you have it in the big moments and you can draw from it again and again to create a life, to live a life that is in massive full integrity for yourself, your own unique visions, your own unique desires, motivations, and inclinations for what you want to do with this incredible, beautiful life that you have. I am so curious to hear. Tell me below in the comments what you got out of this that you feel like you want to apply today in your life. And as always, you can reach out to me, book a reading, get your own reading or support for tuning into your intuition. I would love to work with you. Also, with the link below, I have some wonderful things on my website to help you support your intuition. Handouts that are free. Go ahead and check the link below.